started getting them every other day. And I was popping these migraine pills that were like $50 a piece every other day. I'd get a migraine, pop a pill, go to a meeting because I was at work, I just had to do it. And then I'd get a rebound headache the next day, and then I'd have a migraine, take a pill. It kept going like that. And it came to the point where, I mean, I had a very high pain tolerance at this point. I was working long hours, 8 to 12 hours daily with migraines, or at least kind of taking the edge off of them. So when I had one so bad one evening that I had to go to the ER.
Hi there, I'm Wendy Rimmelsbacher, and welcome to the podcast show Dim to Daring. Do you feel like there's something bigger waiting for you, but you're not sure how to make it happen? You're in the right place. I'm here to bring you inspiring stories, powerful insights, and practical strategies to help you reignite your spark, realign with your purpose, and take those bold steps towards the life you were meant to live. Let's dive in, because you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. Welcome back to Dim to Daring. Today, I'm so excited to introduce you to someone whose journey perfectly embodies what this show is all about, moving from feeling dimmed by life's demands to daring to create something different. My friend Sara Centanni is joining us today, and her story is one that so many high achievers will recognize. Sara is a CPA and former finance executive who had all the external markers of success, until she hit a breaking point that changed everything. Instead of accepting burnout as the price of achievement, she made a different choice. She redesigned her life from the inside out, and now, as a leadership coach, speaker, and #1 international best-selling author, she's on a mission to help other high-performing leaders do the same. What I love about Sara's work is that it's not about doing less or lowering the bar. It's about breaking the cycle of burnout without sacrificing success. She helps people and organizations prioritize themselves, lead from within, and build careers and lives they don't need a break from. And honestly, who doesn't want that? Sara, welcome to Dim to Daring. I'm so glad you're here today.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you so much for having me. I am so honored to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I have to give a quick shout out to our mutual friend, Scott, who knew we needed to connect.
He did. Quite the matchmaker.
Yes, and he was absolutely right about that. So thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you.
And listeners, when someone offers to introduce you to their friend, be daring and say yes. When you are with the right friends, you can go further, faster.
100%.
Sara, so you've achieved what many might call the dream, the CPA license, a successful career, all the external symbols of success. But somewhere along the way, your body said, enough. Take us back to that moment when you realized something had to change and what was happening in your life.
Yeah, I love how you put that external, right? Like on the outside, everything looked good. I had a great career as a finance executive. I had double majors, CPA license, a house, new car, husband, like all of the things. It was, I guess, what society calls success. But there, inside, like internally, something was off. And I did reach burnout in my career as a finance executive. And it was something that transformed me in a very painful way initially, but once I was able to get out of that burnout, I was able to see how much of a gift it was, because not only was it something that helped me tap into the truest part of me, the more aligned version of who I'm supposed to be, and give me that clarity on what my real mission and purpose is in life, not just in a career, but in life. And it also helped me to be able to have the courage to share sometimes people see burnout as a weakness. So whatever it is to that person, I was able to share something that was vulnerable to me and how I was able to transform out of it, so people don't feel like they're weak or like they're alone or they're trapped in a situation.
Right. That gave me chills when you said that. But yeah, people like to know that somebody else has gone through it who they see as being a successful person, to know that they're not off track too far, and that together maybe I can learn something from that person and their journey. So that's why we're talking today, right? Bring it to the real life and help to affect some change for others.
Yeah. And when you said like what was happening in my life at that point, I mean, it did look good. It just didn't feel good. And that was part of the journey that I had to go on to make sure that I was having the internal experience, like it was matching the external experience too. I couldn't have them conflicting and it was causing like a war inside of me.
It sounds like that was just a major change of thinking for you, like that point in your life. Was that just so natural for you to just keep achieving and just keep going and producing something? Was that just how your whole life had been up to this point?
Yeah, that's definitely a big part of it. I was definitely on a path of self-sacrifice, unfortunately. I was sacrificing myself, my health, my vision, my dreams, just who I was as a person for something that I thought was my right path. I felt like I leaned my ladder up against the right building, but I really didn't. And I wouldn't have ever known this if I didn't reach a breaking point during burnout where I had to really reevaluate the life choices that I was making, the habits that I had, the lifestyle I was living, and reset. I had to reset and rebuild. And I'm proud to say that it stuck, and I'm continually growing and living the life that I know is aligned with me, and I can see where my life is going now, and I just keep building towards it every single day.
That's fantastic. Is it, do you ever look back and worry that you're going to slip back into that mode and that mindset? Or is it something that you are so acutely aware of today that there's no returning to that period of life and that way of operating?
Oh, yeah, I definitely feel like I've dipped my toe back in burnout, and luckily I realized this amazing fact about myself, and not only about myself but like others too. Like when you have lived through something and you have extracted the wisdom from it by decreasing the emotional charge from it. So you've had an experience, maybe it was a bad one, it was some type of trauma, it was some type of behavior change. You're able to close that wound. It's a scar now, and the emotional charge has decreased from it. You can still tap into it, but you have understood that that experience was where I was at that point, and I did the best I could there. But now that I've been through that experience, I have more tools, more capacity, and a different perspective where I know that I won't ever go back there because I have these assets that I've gained through that experience that I know better. I know the signs and the symptoms and how I feel and how it's different on the other side of it, to know that I won't slip back in there because I can trust myself to not go back there, and I have supports along the way to help ensure that I don't go there.
Oh, that's so much growth right there.
Thank you. And it's not an easy road because I mean, as you know, we've both had similar journeys from different sides of the state, right?
We sure have. Not
Yeah,
something I love to have in common with somebody, but it
no,
sure was a quick, tight bond with you as a friend.
definitely. And being
Yeah.
able to relate to someone and understand and have that feeling, that bond, that connection that you aren't alone, that someone else really does see and understand you, because so many people can on the outside just suffer in silence. I mean, people don't even know that you're going through something, and to be able to courageously share that moment or those moments of hardship can really help bring a deeper connection and understanding, which can help both people or whoever you're talking with really be seen and validated
Yeah.
and grow.
It's sure comforting because it seems
Mm.
so personal at the time, that the world is against you. And then to find out that somebody on the other side of the state or the other side of the world
Hmm.
had the same situation, same feelings, and that there is a way out of it. And together, by talking through it with others and figuring your way out, you can come out much stronger. But it does take a lot of mindset shifting and holding sacred some of the time in your schedule, right? For yourself, for
Mm-hmm.
self-care. Is what was one of the major changes for you that really set you up for some success to come out of the burnout?
Yeah, so I'll kind of step back into my life when I was in burnout, if you don't mind me just getting a little real with y'all.
Oh, that's great, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah, stepping back into it, I just remember having so many moments where I felt alone, or sitting at my desk late at night, just all alone. The janitor walks in sometimes, and you're like, "Oh, I've seen you before." um, and I'm gonna see you go because I will be here long after you are. Um, but the amount of overwhelm, the amount of stress, the amount of confusion sometimes, just not even know what to do or not even be able to answer a simple email because you're just so depleted. Not being able to sleep, waking up at night with your mind just racing because you're solving problems, open loops in your head that you weren't able to solve at work. So your mind is just trying to close any loop it can to try to solve a problem. And I remember not eating well. I mean, I thought I was attempting to, but I really wasn't. I definitely had my snack drawer full of lots of goodies and comfort food, chips and cookies and all of the fun stuff. But the biggest thing that really was an indicator, and I know that when I share my story that a lot of people resonate with this as well, is migraine headaches. I had a history of migraines ever since I was a child, and I'd get them maybe like once a month. I started getting MRIs when they were trying to figure it out. Like I think it was 10 or 11 when I got my first one. I fall asleep in them now. I know they're loud, but I have been through so many that I fall asleep in them. But I started getting them when I was a finance exec and going through burnout. I started getting them weekly. And I'm like, oh, this isn't good. And I started getting more exams, trying to figure out what it was. And I got Botox. I had that for about 8 years, trying to help relieve the symptoms. And then I started getting them every other day. And I was popping these migraine pills that were like $50 a piece every other day. I'd get a migraine, pop a pill, go to a meeting because I was at work. I just had to do it. And then I'd get a rebound headache the next day. And then I'd have a migraine, take a pill. It kept going like that. And it came to the point where, I mean, I had a very high pain tolerance at this point. I was working long hours, 8 to 12 hours daily with migraines, or at least kind of taking the edge off of them. So when I had one so bad one evening that I had to go to the ER, and they did what they could. They pumped me full of whatever drugs they did, um, and it took the edge off, but it didn't go away. So I was discharged, went home around 2 or 3 in the morning. So I got a little bit of sleep, and I ended up just going to work. And my husband at the time, he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm heading to work." He's like, "You were just at the emergency room." I'm like, "I know, but I need to go to work. I have a meeting." And he's like, "When we get home, or when you get home, we need to evaluate your priorities." And I'm like, "Meh." And I just walked out the door and drove myself to work. Probably not the best thing to do, but I mean, how many people have not felt well and just gone to work the next day?
Yeah, that sounds all too familiar to me, even to the point with the custodian popping their
Oh,
head
yeah,
in just to say, are you locking up or am I?" And setting the alarm. Who's setting the alarm tonight?
exactly. Exactly. I know when you have that
Yeah.
relationship with a janitor, in the evening. Yeah, it's very telling of where your priorities are, and it's you're loyal to the job over yourself sometimes, right?
Right. Well, Sarah, what were you telling yourself about those symptoms at the time?
I was telling myself that it was just a one-time thing. Like, I've never been in the ER before, but that's not a big deal. I've had migraines, I can handle them. But then several months later, I ended up getting another migraine that was just as bad, and it was during the day. I was at work, and I'm like, I need to go figure this out. So I called my doctor, and they injected me with stuff, but that migraine didn't go away. It lasted like 5 days. And at that point,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and of course, I was working the entire time. Of course, like, just working throughout the migraine.
Of course.
Of course, we all do it. So I realized at that point that I wasn't going to make it to that finish line that we all call retirement. Like, if I was to continue on this journey the way that I was hustling, I wasn't going to make it.
No. And you were in your 30s at this point.
Yeah, I
Is
was
that
in my
right?
early 30s, and this really caused a lot of reflection for me. And then I realized that there was one
Hmm.
other thing about a year before that happened. And I share this because I know the power of it. Even though it's not something that a lot of people share, I know that when I do share it, it resonates a lot with people. So, about a year earlier, before I had that second migraine, uh, I actually had a miscarriage. And I
Hmm.
didn't know that I was pregnant. I wasn't supposed to be trying, but my body was not at a place to be able to have a child. And I had a miscarriage. And that was something that I never talked about. It happened. And then I went back to work.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Sarah. And that probably isn't a story that we hear very often from any woman, but I'm sure it happens
Oh, yeah.
because it's something we just hide and move on and pretend like we're tough. We got to keep going, and that's not going to slow me down. That's not going to stop me. But it's such a tender issue, and it's just so sad that you weren't, you know, you weren't surrounded by other women to embrace you and let you grieve through that time.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't only that, I didn't want to appear weak. I mean, weaker than I already felt with having migraines and not being able to work at my capacity because of the burnout, and just kind of the shame around not being able to have a successful pregnancy. So I
Hmm.
I share that because I know that I didn't process it. I didn't give it the space that it needed to process to be able to process that. And I looked back after I had that second migraine, and I said, "Oh, there's been three big strikes, and if I continue on this journey, three strikes, you're out, right?" um,
Yeah, it's kind of like that bump, set, spike, or when are we going to listen on the
yeah,
bump, the set, or the spike when we get hit in the head
exactly.
with it?
Yeah. So it's like I had to change my life. And this is where it was either continue down the path of essentially where if I continue down this path, I know what's going to happen. I'm just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse. Or I need to figure out a way to change my life for the better. And I took that one. I decided to pick myself up and change my life. And that's that's where I started embracing, like, what are the things now that make me me. And I had no idea because I was just doing what I thought society wanted and I thought everyone else wanted for me. So I really had to make some radical changes to actually make my life my life.
Was that a situation where you just made up your mind and changed some things, or what else might have, was there anything else that influenced you?
um I had to figure out who I was because I really was so confused. I didn't know how I got here because before then, my formula for success was I work hard, I grind, I make sure that, if we think about like college, it's like, you put in the time, you study, you go to class, you put in long hours, and then you take the test, and like then you get an A. Like that's the path that you're on. And similar with work, it's like you put in the long hours, you do all the things in order to make sure that you get the reports done or make the meeting successful. Whatever it is, there's some type of long preparation and learning and exhaustion, and then you have some type of outcome. So I thought that was my formula, and I thought I was doing it right, but it really wasn't right. It was not sustainable.
Doesn't sound like it.
No, I know you felt
Doesn't sound like it. But
that.
yeah, there just does come a point in time when you get hit over the head and you realize, okay, now I'm ready to make myself important and make some different life decisions.
Hmm.
But you talk about falling in love with a new type of hustle. I know I've heard you say that, and
Hmm.
I love that phrase because it suggests you didn't give up on ambition or drive. You just redirected it, and that's so rich. So, what does that new hustle look like for you now, and how is it different from the old one?
Yeah, I mean, I've even grown out of the word hustle almost. Hustle kind of has like a negative feeling to me now because I feel like it's something that we're supposed to do, or it is self-sacrificing. So I love the phrase of aligned action. So that's what I'm falling in love with now. It's aligned action.
Okay, that's great. That does sound much better.
Yeah,
Sounds doable.
it sounds doable, right? Because as long as you are doing the things that are aligned with you, it just makes sense to take action on them because you want to see them manifest. So
And
when,
how do you know it's in alignment?
yeah,
Excuse me.
it's such a tough question.
$1 million question.
It is. And it really takes some time. And that's where I started to dive into personal development and really starting to discover who I was as a person. And I knew that I needed a method or like a proven process to do it because I know there's people out there that were able to have balance in their life, were able to succeed and be successful without burning out. So I really researched that and I came across high performance coaching through Brendan Burchard and I got myself a coach. And one of the first things that we do is the clarity session. And with that one, I was able to start really getting clear on who I was as a person. And believe me, I had to do a lot of digging because there was a lot of other people's agendas on top of my own and other people's beliefs. And I had to just go on this dig to try to figure out who I was buried beneath all of this. And throughout that process and continuing with coaching and diving into even things like my YouTube algorithm, like what am I interested in? What does YouTube tell me that I like learning about? All these little things and trying to figure out, okay, do I like this? Do I not? Does this serve me? Does it not? Does it give me energy? Does it drain? So when I was putting all these pieces together, I really leaned into the things that brought me joy and happiness and growth. And those are the things that I started figuring out was really me. And then I was able to take aligned action from there because I was able to pursue the things that I wanted to, as opposed to the things that I thought other people or a life trajectory wanted me to do.
That's incredible. Wow, you did do some deep diving. I love it. And you didn't give up on your drive. In fact, you intensified your drive by digging into YouTube, but you gave up the distraction, it sounds like.
Yes. So I gave up a lot of things. And in order to keep my drive, I had to shift what I was doing. And we're both accountants, CPAs. And
Mm-hmm.
I always came up with this phrase, like I kept telling myself this, like I have to leverage my ambition. I need to make it be an asset, not a liability. Because when I have too much drive or I hyper focus on something and I let everything else in my life fall away, it can be a liability. It can really be a disservice to me. So I had to make it an asset in my life. So I really had to leverage that ambition to make sure that I was having sustainable growth and being able to focus on not only work or not only a certain task, but all of the things in my life and give them all priority, which can be a juggling act. But when you find a way to do it that is aligned with you specifically, it becomes a lot more effortless because it's you just being you as opposed to you doing things.
Yes. One of the things that I noticed about you, it was one of the things that just really hit me right off the get go when we met, was how clear you have um, boundaries set.
Mm.
And it's something I wasn't doing well at the time. And it really made an impression on me. And I bet that was part of your formula for success.
Thank you. That was something that I really had to work on because, like you, I didn't have good boundaries, and that's why I ended up in burnout because I would say yes to too many things. So I really had to prioritize myself because, like, yeah, just saying yes to way too much, and then you're just saying no to yourself. So that was something I
Yes.
really worked on, and it's grown over the years too. It's a lot easier to say yes to things. I have certain criteria in my life where I mean, one of the things that right now I've adopted is it's a quote from Tom Bilyeu, and he says, I only do that which moves me towards my goals. If I wanted to add, I only do that which moves me towards my goals with grace, it allows me to adopt a mindset of, is this decision something that I believe in? And if I do fall, if I do, as a human and as someone who is a continuous learner, has adopted the mindset of a learner, that I don't see failure as failure, I see failures as opportunities to learn and how I can pivot from that. That if something happens where I don't move towards my goals, I can pick myself back up with self compassion and move myself back on my aligned path.
Oh, that's beautiful. That sounds like a great bit of wisdom to fall back on to remind yourself that you can do hard things even if you fail and that it's you can try again and keep going.
Yeah. And perspective on failure, too, right?
Right. Yeah. It's not a negative thing. It's actually a time to applaud. Like, okay, we learned something right there. And let's try it again now with a little different twist so that we don't fall again.
Exactly.
Here's a question I know so many listeners are wrestling with. Things like, I can't afford to change. I have kids, bills, healthcare needs. Talk to me about the relationship between practical stability and personal well being. So, my question is, can they coexist or does one always have to come first?
Mm. Yeah, this is one that I know that I've been stuck in many, many times. It's how do I do all the things and how do I do
Hmm.
them well? So,
Yeah, and it wasn't meant to set you up for a tough question here, but that is what people wrestle with.
oh,
Like,
totally.
am I okay to stay in the same spot I'm in, but I know I'm dimming, I'm dying,
Hmm.
I'm not feeling good on the inside. And so if I take care of myself, can I still do those things? I don't know. I was just wondering if you had any bit of wisdom to share on that topic.
Yeah, and I'll kind of put it in accounting terms too. And I tell people that it's not always about balance because when accountants think about balance, when things balance, it equals zero, right? It balances out to
Right.
zero. And I don't want my life to be zero. I don't want it to have zero vibrancy, zero growth, zero love. Like I want it to be flourishing. So I think of it more like harmony. Like, we have seasons, things go up and down, but my trajectory is up. I want to have growth. I don't want balance, even though balance is kind of the common word. So I'll use it to kind of connect with people, but then I'll elaborate on it. So as long as I see growth and I'm able to communicate with others that I maybe right now am in a tougher season. Like it's heavier at work, so maybe my social life will have to go down a little bit. But maybe when I'm on vacation, social life can go up, work goes down. So there's ways to be able to still be aligned with who you are and juggle the things. But there's also another, I can't remember who exactly showed me this, but if you think about like if you have 100 marbles and you have only 10 cups for like 10 of your life arenas, like personal, um, fitness, well-being, friends, family, love, money, career, like all of the different areas of your life. And in this season of your life, where are you going to allocate those 100 marbles? Like, which cups are you going to put them in? How are you going to make all of the things work? Because you don't want to just put all your 100 marbles in your career, because then you don't have your health, you don't have your family, you don't have your friends. You need to be able to allocate. And it's not always about time, it's more about energy too. And that was the key for me because I was like, I'm putting so many hours into work. I'm not putting enough hours into my social life or just hanging out with my friends or family. And when I was like, I can, like, because right now I put in a lot of hours of work, but I don't feel depleted. It actually gives me energy. So when you are aligned with the things that you're doing, the work doesn't feel like work. And I know that's a cliche, but it really doesn't feel like work because you're doing something that you enjoy doing and it's not depleting your resources. So I recommend finding those things, find the things that are fulfilling and remove the things that are unfulfilling.
That makes a lot of sense because once you come off a high of maybe a conversation, maybe it's just maybe you only have time to connect with somebody over the phone
Hmm.
for 30 minutes that week and that's the only connection time you had, but that fills your cup so much because you chose the right person
Mm,
and you show up for work the next day better and more energy because of that one conversation. So yeah, it's some of those things that if you can do those continuously and make sure they're planted strategically throughout your week somehow when you know you're going to need it and when you absolutely could make time for it, that's what you need to do. It's making those, you have to think ahead and really plan that week out so that you can
yes.
put those little nuggets in there somewhere.
Yes, and that's a great point. One of the practices I do is on Sundays I do a weekly reflection. So I look at what my week looked like and the things you can even do an energy audit. Like what are the things that brought me energy? What are the things that depleted my energy? And try to do more of those things that brought you energy in the next week. But then future and I look out at my week and I'm like, okay, where am I going to be? What am I going to be doing? What meetings do I have? Is there anything I can delegate or push off to another day or week? Like how do my days look? Are they sustainable? And by doing that, it really gives you a, a time to prepare and plan for what your week is going to look like so that you can ensure that you're mentally and physically and emotionally prepared for those situations.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And if there's any car time, additional car time for, whether you have to travel to a meeting, something like that, that maybe there's a person you could connect with that's in that same vicinity.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
just little things like that, or like you and I do, like you'll go sit in the car at lunch and we'll do a FaceTime for
Yes.
30 minutes. And I don't know, it's so much fun. It feels something frivolous to do in the middle of your work day. But anyway, it just shifts your energy enough. And it also opens up the brain waves for some creativity too, to come back in and maybe solve the problem sitting on your desk when you get back.
Oh yeah, I love having those little breaks. That's why I make sure that I do take a lunch because I want to do something that's fulfilling or brings me joy, helps me, cut the day to where I can actually, um, bring some more joy into my life. And I like what you said about car rides too. I will connect, like I'll call people on my car rides, or I will listen to a great book or a podcast and just something that makes me laugh or brings me joy during those times that could be stressful. Like traffic's okay because I have my book or I have my friend that I'm talking to. It doesn't stress me out.
Yeah. Well, you've given us some good tips there. I love it. All the just different perspectives on how to think about things and how to fit in those important things that you value in your life. But you need to know what they are first, too. So that's another little bit of homework listeners can do is to really think about what fills your cup. Is it the relationships or is it something faith based or family or whatever it is, and then make sure there's room for that each week in your calendar, setting some boundaries around it.
100%. And I love what you say about putting it in your calendar because that's literally what I do is I'm big on time blocking and making sure that my calendar runs my life, but I am the one that creates the calendar. So I'm creating my life proactively. So I will actually schedule in things like vacation time, or I will schedule in time with family. I will schedule in my free time. I will create the opportunities in my life because I am directing my life in a direction that I know is aligned for me. So I know people are like, I don't want to live by my calendar. That's too structured. But if you don't have that structure, you don't have the freedom because you don't build it in.
Yeah, and for those of us like Sarah, like you and I were, or still tend to have some relapses into saying yes all the time and letting somebody else direct it. This is taking back the power to say, I get to decide some things that are going to be in my weekly calendar. And it just gives you some permission to take charge of your own life.
Exactly.
So, when you were rebuilding after burnout, how did you sort through what mattered? Because I imagine you had to distinguish between dreams I need to let go of versus dreams I need to honor differently. And how did you know the difference?
Yeah, it was kind of like what I was talking about earlier, taking an energy audit. It was really having this filter in my mind every time I did something. And it can be tedious, but does this bring me joy? Did it drain me? Was it something that I didn't like to do? And it's, like I said, a little tedious, but it really helped me determine what are the things that I need to do more of and the things that I need to do less of.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. You did say that, or talk about that earlier, and that's also a huge part of letting go of your dreams or things that you maybe thought you had to do and it was on the list. Like for me, if something's on the list, I need to do it, but you were stepping back to say, does it really need to be on the list anymore?
Hmm.
Because it doesn't bring me joy and it's not required and all the things. So that's a good exercise to go through. Thanks for sharing that. You now help others create healthy success habits. Break that down for me because I think a lot of women hear self-care and think it's about a bubble bath or a glass of bubbly, when what they really need is a way to survive their current reality while building towards something better.
Yeah, that's such a good point because how many times do we hear like, oh, I just need a vacation or oh, I need to go home and have a glass of wine, whatever it is. It's just they're treating, I mean, I'm going to say there, but it's really weird. We were treating
Yep.
symptoms and we're just slapping band-aids on it when we're not really getting to the root cause of why we feel like we need to go to these, I mean, vices essentially. Like, I mean, a glass of wine can be a vice, even a bubble bath can be a vice. It's something that has helped soothing you when you haven't addressed the actual issue.
Yeah, that's the issue, isn't
It's the
it?
issue. Yeah, we're just putting band-aids on it. Like I was popping pills just to get rid of a headache. I didn't have that mind-body connection. I disconnected, my body would throw up a headache and say, hey, slow down. And I was like, hush up. I'm gonna take a pill and I need to go to this meeting. But how many times have we
And
done
off you
that?
went.
Yeah, off I went. I mean, it's been a rough day at work. I'm gonna have a glass of wine when I get home. So it's seeing what the actual symptoms are, but then going a layer below that and be like, what is causing this symptom? And what I had to realize is that I need to be courageous enough to figure out what that is because just slapping band-aids on is not going to fix the problem. It's essentially I'm taking a short-term gain and I'm trading it for long-term pain. And I needed to flip that. I needed to have short-term pain and flip it for long-term gains. So I wanted to ensure that I might have to be like have some discomfort in figuring out why I'm getting migraines initially. But when I figure that out, I'm going to have long-term gain and I'm going to have the life that I want. If I just figure out this one thing, the domino of figuring out that one thing will start going and I'll be able to have more success and more health and less pain by actually figuring out the root cause of what was going on.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, it makes me want to get on my bicycle and ride because it's really that little bit of exercise and movement
Mm,
back in your life instead of sitting or having a long day at work and thinking the bubble bath and the glass of bubbly is going to help. I mean, it might be that short-term fix, but really if you had gotten on, went for a walk or something like that, I think those are some of those healthier shifts that start getting you back in the driver's seat of being in control of something that brings you joy and is, making your mind feel better, your
hmm.
brain and everything, your body, your blood's moving and all the endorphins are being released and
Yes.
something good starts happening because of the choice you make.
Totally. So, one of the things I'm really into right now is healthy swaps in life. So, healthier success habits is what you were asking me, but like I have kind of coined this phrase, like I'm swapping. So whether it is instead of sitting all day and focusing on something, I'm going to swap it out and I'm going to have breaks in my day. Or if I'm going home and I'm feeling like I need a glass of bubbly, I'm going to swap it out and maybe have some like flavored water. Or what are little things that I can do in my life to start swapping them out? Just little sustainable things that I can start swapping that'll help create a life that I desire.
That's empowering, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been so revolutionary in the last few years that I've found hundreds of things that I've actually swapped out, and I've actually started having other people, as I share this swap theory with people, other people are finding ways to have sustainable little swaps in their life, and it's a compounding effect. So I have decided this year that I am writing a book called The Swap Effect, and it's going to talk about how you can start creating little swaps in your life, different areas, even boundaries. So lots of examples on boundaries, to create the life that you desire.
That sounds great. I'll be the first to sign up for it. Please let me
Thank
know
you.
when it's out.
I will. I will. It'll be,
1 year from now, we
yep,
do
that's the
you need an
goal.
accountability
Oh,
person?
yeah. Yeah. Please keep me accountable.
Oh, Sarah, if you could go back and talk to yourself in that burnout season when you were still in the thick of it, before you had clarity about what was next, what would you tell her? What would you tell younger Sarah? And not about what to do differently, but about how to be with herself in that hard season.
Yeah. I think this might resonate with your audience, but to not be so critical of myself, to watch
Yeah.
myself talk. Yeah. One of my biggest realizations.
That's
Yeah.
good.
It's a tough one, right? Because we set such high expectations and standards for ourselves.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally.
And one of the things that I realized is that I can still have grace and go after my goals. It doesn't have to be one or the other. I can
Mm,
be my own best friend. I can pick myself up. I can do better and be better when I have myself as an ally instead of an enemy. So I had to really work on what my expectations were for myself and make sure that they were sustainable ones and do things like resetting my mind body connection, like making sure that I'm actually listening to whatever signals my body's throwing at me and giving them space and understanding why, so that I can actually be a better person and start learning and pivoting and using the emotions and the feelings and the discomforts. And then also the positive things to ensure that I am on a path that is aligned for me.
oh, I love that. My follow-up question is this, like, did it sometimes bring another person into the scenario and cause you to have a hard conversation with somebody because of this conflict within
Oh,
yourself?
I've had so many hard conversations. But what I had to realize, and this one, oh, it took me so long, and I'm sure it might strike a nerve with people, but not everyone is going to like you. Not everyone is going to understand you, and that's okay.
That is okay, and we have to get okay with that.
Hmm. And that's a difficult part because we all want to be seen and heard and validated and feel a sense of belonging. And when someone who you care about, or just someone who you respect, or just someone you're interacting with, whatever the case may be, if you don't feel that, or things just aren't clicking, it can be a real struggle.
Yeah, it seems like it brings about the need for a crucial conversation with somebody so that you can honor yourself and free that up and make sure that they understand that sometimes I have to say
Yeah,
no because it's not the highest priority or it's not in my
right.
values system or whatever that is. Yeah, that's a tough one, but it does, one thing that we decide sometimes propels us to have a need for a new skill, and it's usually in communications.
Yep, communication. I mean, communication is key. But also understanding that you can do your best and have that conversation, and you might not get the outcome you desire.
Yeah.
Like they might not understand your boundary. They might not care. But you have to be okay with that because that's them. Like you can't control their response to the information you're giving them or the conversation you're having.
That's right. So, for the woman listening right now who's thinking, I'm already burnt out, I don't have energy for one more thing, what's the smallest, most accessible step she could take? And not to fix everything, but just to start reconnecting with herself. What would you say?
Oh, that's a great question. So for me, and this is kind of what we were talking about earlier, is it's not always about adding one more thing. That can be developing, especially when you feel like you're at like the end of your rope. So it's mainly about subtracting things. And if we think about this in like an extreme, it's like, what is the most hyper focused person doing? They're only working on one thing. So if we draw that back a little bit, because obviously people have to be able to eat and have time with their families and do all the other things that make them a human, how can we focus and do as little things that aren't in the pursuit of our goals, whatever our goals are, is if it's to have a successful career, have a fulfilling career, being able to spend time with family and friends, being able to have social time, whatever your goals are, what are the least amount of things that I can do to make those goals happen? Sometimes we overcomplicate things, right?
We do. Yeah, it's a go to. Let's complicate it, make it hard.
Yeah, we just do too many things and then we get drained and we don't realize that there's too many things going on. So I would say look at your life, see the things that, I mean, I've even gone to the extent of having a every 15 minutes I write down what I'm doing to actually track and see where my time is going. And I used it as a tool to be like, okay, here's what I'm doing to see where all my energy is going and my time. But then I also use it as a way to plan. So one weekend is like, I'm going to plan on every 15 minutes and see if I can actually stay as focused as I can. And it was one of the most productive weekends I had. I think I had 23 things on the list that I prioritized for a weekend, and I got 21 of them done. And I felt great because I time blocked it all. It was almost like a
Wow, that's
game.
phenomenal.
I
Yeah,
know.
and
It
you
was
probably had your
fun.
phone turned off. Do not bother me. Do not bother me
Exactly.
mode.
Turn off the distractions. It's I was focused on what I needed to do and I just got rid of the things that I didn't and I was able to be successfully productive. It was incredible. So I just think about that like it doesn't have to be that extreme all the time, but if you really put your mind to something, I feel successful. And it's your version of success. It's not other people's. And that's what's important too, right?
Right. And what's also great about that is I bet that was a great night's sleep on Sunday night
Oh yeah, definitely.
after that weekend of nailing 21 out of 23 to dos.
Mhm.
That's a great feeling. Okay,
Yeah.
well, that is great advice, Sarah. Thank you for that.
Oh yeah.
And I also want to ask you this directly for the women listening right now, the ones lying awake doing mental math, the ones who feel trapped between two versions of hard, the ones who know they're meant for more but can't see the path yet. What do they need to hear to give them the courage to take that next step, even when they can't see how it all turns out?
Mm. Get clear on who you are and where you're going.
Hmm. Mic drop moment.
Yes, yes, for sure. Because I know that for me, I didn't know who I was and I didn't know where I was going. I thought I did, but I didn't. And I feel like when we're trapped in that, like you said, version of two hearts, it's who what do I want to do and what are other people or society or the external things want me to do. And that's where we have that friction and resistance and we're bumping up against it. So if you get really clear on who you are, and like, the old saying, like, put your oxygen mask on first before you help others. If you're able to figure out who you are and what you want, you're better able to serve the people around you and show up better as a healthy, fulfilled human the best you can. And that starts making the difference. And then the path reveals itself.
That's so true. That is beautifully said, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah. And it's not an easy thing to do. Like it's like I was saying, I put myself through high performance coaching and I had such a transformation with it that I actually became a high performance coach. And now I help other clients, a lot of ambitious women. Even right now, I have some in their late 20s, and I've seen how clear people can get in their lives to be able to start that trajectory even at a young age. And I'm not saying that you have to do a young age, it's any age. But when you have that clarity and you have just that fire inside of you where it's like, yeah, like I know who I am and I know what I'm doing and I know where I want to go in my life. Even if it's like not in a career, but just like, I want to go volunteer more. I want to be more active in my church, or, I want to show up as the best aunt I can. Whatever that mission is and you're clear on it, you start putting more of that in your calendar. You start showing up differently when you're doing these things. Or if you're working on a side hustle and you're in a job right now, it's like, you show up better at your job because you know that that job is fueling your side hustle. So eventually you can do the thing that you want to do. You have a different perspective on life and it empowers you to do the things you want to do.
That's right. I mean, sometimes you do hold on to that job that sort of makes you feel dim because it's stable and it has good benefits and all those things.
Mm-hmm.
However, you have to have time in your schedule to do those things that you were clearly meant to do that make you feel like $1,000,000 because you're out there doing that thing. That's what allows you to hold on to that stability type of a job because you have something else that's keeping your energy high. It's like we were talking about that balance and the
Mm-hmm.
marbles, and
Mm-hmm.
it's just having that outlet that really lights you up. And I think we all want to be clear on who we are. So I love that you shared that bit about the high performance coach and how that process of investing in yourself really gleaned that out of you so that you knew exactly what you're with clarity what you were meant to do.
Yeah, of
So thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful.
course. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a great segue for this next question. What's currently lighting you up, whether it's a daily habit, a creative outlet, or something you're dreaming about for your next season?
Oh, I kind of hinted at this, but I am writing a book this year. And I've already started. I have a very detailed outline, and I just love because I normally read before I go to bed, but now I'm reading my book and like editing it before I go to bed. And the swap effect. My goal is to have it done by the end of this year and have it out in people's hands next year. So um, it's really lighting me up right now, and it's something that I feel like I've always been wanting to write a bigger book because I have written a collaboration book and I'm working on another collaboration book as well. But this is going to be my own, and this is something that I know is going to transform people's lives because I've already been testing it out in the wild and it's had some phenomenal results.
Oh, it sounds fabulous. I can't wait to get my hands on a copy.
Thank you.
I'll be over there to get your signature on it too.
Oh, of course, of
It'll
course.
be
I
a good
will write
excuse
you.
to get together.
Oh, yeah, always.
Sarah, thank you so much for being here today and for sharing your story with such honesty and heart. There were so many deep wounds that you were revealing to us all. And I know you do that to teach. And I'm so thankful for you and for your vulnerability. I know the women listening needed to hear every word of this. They're not alone in feeling burnout, and there is another way around it, and that choosing themselves isn't selfish, it's necessary.
So true. And one thing that I always forget to mention, I talk about my struggle and burnout, but on the other side of it, I was able to pretty much eliminate my migraine headaches.
Oh, bravo. That's fantastic. Yeah, the schedule you were keeping.
Yes, I was able to reset my habits, reset my lifestyle, even go as far as doing a food sensitivity and allergy test to reset my digestive system because my body was incredibly inflamed. I rarely get migraines anymore, and if I do, I just get the aura side of it, just like the light sensitivity, and then it doesn't even turn into a headache. So I never thought that I would ever have a life, even as a child, without headaches, and being able to live that life now is incredibly powerful and life changing. So I would recommend to anyone that if you're just suffering every day with, I mean, migraines or digestive issues or any other physical symptoms, or even, not being able to sleep, your mind is racing, like I would strongly suggest getting to the bottom of it because on the other side, when you have that freedom, like you don't ever want to go back. You just don't know how you ever lived like that.
Never.
Right?
It's awful.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, It's great that you figured that out. That was a lot of hard work from what you've said. And you just gave us the tip of the iceberg. But yeah, I can tell you did a lot of deep diving into the work and investing in yourself to get better. And I'm so grateful to hear that you're on the other side and can stop those headaches before they come full on.
Yeah. And there's hope. I mean, I try to share because it brings hope. And I want others to know that it is possible.
Yes. Your journey from that breaking point to where you are now and helping other women break the cycle of burnout without sacrificing their success is exactly what Dim to Daring is all about. You've given our listeners permission to reimagine what's possible, and I'm so grateful for that. So thank you for spending this time with me today. I do have one more last question for you, but I have no doubt this conversation is going to land exactly where it needs to. So one other thing before my last question and before we wrap up, where can listeners follow you?
Yeah. You can follow me on Instagram or Facebook at ms, so miss dot Sara Centanni, SaraCentanni. And I'm active on there. And then also at my website, which is my first and last name. So saracentanni.com. And I do coaching, consulting, workshops, keynote speeches, and I also do high performance coaching.
Perfect. I'll make sure all of that goes in the show notes. So here's my final question, and I always like to end every conversation with this one. It's my favorite. What's your most recent daring step you've taken, big or small, and what did it open up for you?
So my biggest commitment, since we are at the beginning of the year, and I do like to have a word of the year. Last year it was expansion, and then in the middle of the year I changed it to aligned expansion because I realized that I needed to grow as a person, and that my business and the rest of my life would not grow if I didn't put the time in me. So I really worked on myself last year, and this year for my word of the year, it's commit. And it goes
Ooh.
way, like it was super scary for me to say it.
That's a great word.
I know, very daunting, but I know now that after all of the things that I've been through, and all the things that I've learned from, all the things were happening for me, and I really need to commit to myself, not abandon myself anymore, and commit to my goals so I don't have any regrets or any resentment.
Oh, I love that, Sara. Thank you again. This has been such a gift.
Oh, I agree. Thank you so much, Wendy. I always love talking to you, and I really hope that your audience is able to resonate with some of the things that I mentioned, and they feel like there's hope and they don't have to wear burnout as a badge of honor.
Same. And I absolutely feel the same thing about you. And I also am sure that my listeners are getting something great from all the great nuggets you've shared with us today. And all you listening, thank you for being here. If this conversation stirred something in you, I hope you'll take the smallest step Sara talked about. You deserve a life you don't need a break from. Until next time, keep moving from dim to daring. Thank you so much for joining me today on Dim to Daring. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribed, shared it with a friend, or left a review. It helps more women just like you discover the show. Remember, you're not finished yet, you're just getting started. Until next time, keep daring to grow and shine.